All right, let's dive right into the science of female pleasure. We're going to cut through all the myths and get right to what actually works. Let's get started.
You ever get that feeling? After all the effort, that your partner isn't truly satisfied? Maybe that she's, just going along with it to please you? Believe me, it's a way more common feeling than you might think. Most guys have been led to believe that her satisfaction really just comes down to two things: how long you can last and, well, size. But the science, the psychology, it's all crystal clear. If that's where your head is at, you are completely missing the point. Okay, first up, let's tackle the great satisfaction myth. See, to really understand what works, we have to start with the fundamental biological differences in how male and female arousal even functions. They are not the same thing. Think of it like this, right? A man's arousal is kind of like an electric light bulb. You flip a switch and boom, it's instantly on. A woman's arousal, on the other hand, is much more like an old-school electric iron. It needs time to slowly, gradually heat up. And once it's hot, it also takes a while to cool down. You just can't rush the process. So that leads us to section 2. It all starts in the mind. If it's a slow warm-up, where does that process actually begin? Well, it's not in the bedroom. And honestly, it doesn't even start with physical touch. For a woman, her biggest and most important sex organ is her brain.
And that brings us to this key idea: mental foreplay. It's basically the sum of all the small moments during the day that build an emotional connection and a feeling of safety. Her arousal doesn't just switch on at night. It actually starts building with how seen, appreciated, and connected she feels hours or even days beforehand. And look, this doesn't mean you need these huge, grand, romantic gestures. Not at all. We're talking about the small stuff. A sweet text in the middle of the day, a simple hug from behind while she's in the kitchen, a real, genuine compliment. These are the little things that make her feel safe and valued, and that's what sets the stage for real physical intimacy later. All right, section 3, foreplay is the main course. This takes us to the physical act itself. So many guys treat foreplay like it's just an appetizer, right? Something to kind of rush through to get to the main event. And that, right there, is another huge mistake. The reality is this: for a woman, foreplay is the main course. It's what her body needs to become fully aroused to produce natural lubrication. Rushing through it doesn't just kill the mood. It can actually make intercourse uncomfortable or even painful, instead of the pleasurable experience it's supposed to be. Part 4, the anatomy of pleasure. Now let's get into the hard science of it all, the stuff that so often gets ignored in favor of all the myths out there. Now I want you to look at this number: 80%. Medical science, anatomical studies, they all show that up to 80% of women cannot achieve orgasm from penetration alone. Just let that sink in for a minute. That one single fact changes basically everything we think we know about sex. So, if penetration alone isn't the key for the vast majority of women, what is? It's the clitoris. Simple as that. It's located outside the vagina. It contains thousands upon thousands of nerve endings, and its only biological purpose is pleasure. And yet, it's somehow the part of her anatomy that's most often ignored during intercourse. Okay, section 5. After the act matters. The science of her pleasure doesn't just stop when everything is over. No way. What happens in those next few minutes is absolutely crucial for her emotional satisfaction and connection to you. This is often called aftercare. See, after sex, her body is literally flooded with oxytocin. That's the bonding hormone, which is why the classic roll over and grab your phone move is one of the absolute worst things you can do. Instead, just hold her close. Cuddling for just 10 or 15 minutes reinforces that feeling of connection and safety, and it creates this amazing positive memory for the next time. Okay, here we are at our final section, the secret. We've covered the mind, we've covered foreplay, anatomy, aftercare, but there is one specific technique that can make all the difference between frustration and, well, an incredible experience for her. As the research says, the single biggest mistake men make is changing what's working right when she's about to arrive. Just as a woman gets super close to orgasm, so many partners make this one fatal error. It's called focus shifting. As she gets closer and closer to that peak, her mind needs to stay completely focused. Any sudden change, speed, pressure, position, it just shatters that mental focus, and her arousal can literally plummet back to zero. The takeaway here is so simple. When you feel her getting close, don't change a thing. Keep that rhythm consistent. And really, this brings it all together. To win her body, you absolutely must connect with her mind first. Because true intimacy isn't just a physical act. It's a deep connection between two minds. Understanding her psychology, her anatomy, her emotional needs, it's not optional. It's the only real path to true, shared pleasure.